When you hear the phrase English literature, your mind probably jumps straight to countries like Britain or America. But English is used globally to tell entirely different stories. Some of the most compelling works of modern literature come from African writers who took the language of their colonizers and used it to reclaim their own history. Over the next 6 minutes, we are going to build a complete 5-part exam outline that covers the major themes and giants of African literature. So open a blank document or grab a pen and paper. You will want to build this framework alongside me. Mastering this subject means moving past simple memorization. We are going to organize decades of cultural resistance into a clear, high-scoring academic structure. Let's start the outline. At the top of your page, write down Part 1, Definition, and Part 2, Historical Background. For your definition, African literature refers to works by African authors reflecting their culture, traditions, and social struggles. Many of these modern works are written in European languages directly because of colonial history. This late 19th century map shows the African continent. Look at the borders. During this scramble for Africa, European powers divided the continent to establish colonial administrations. This caused immense cultural disruption, replacing local political systems and forcing Western values onto traditional societies. Modern African literature in English emerged as a direct intellectual response to this era of colonial exploitation. Writers used their platforms to defend their cultural heritage. Next, add Part 3 and 4 to your notes, Themes and Examples. Our first major figure is Chinua Achebe, widely considered the father of modern African literature. His foundational novel, Things Fall Apart, is set in traditional Igbo society in Nigeria, exploring life before the arrival of British administrators. Achebe's core theme is the conflict between African traditions and European influence. He shows how the arrival of foreign missionaries caused the tragic collapse of traditional social harmony. His work gives you a perfect blueprint for your exam. It proves exactly how literature exposed the destructive reality behind the colonial mission. Let's log your second author, Wole Soyinka. In 1986, he made history by becoming the first African writer to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. You'll want to cite his iconic play, The Lion and the Jewel, which centers on a clash between a village chief and a schoolteacher. This conflict highlights Soyinka's central theme, the deep philosophical tension between preserving traditional African culture and adopting Western modernity. Including Soyinka in your essay shows the examiner that African literature also captures an active debate about how the continent should navigate its future. For your next piece of evidence, write down the Kenyan author Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He focuses heavily on the preservation of language as a vital tool for rediscovering African identity. Now we shift our geographic focus south to examine racial inequality. This photograph shows South Africa during apartheid, an institutionalized system of racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government against the black majority. Writers like Nobel laureate Nadine Gordimer, as well as Alan Paton, directed their literature straight at this system. They documented the vast social injustice and human suffering it created. By attacking systems like apartheid, these writers show how literature functions as a practical mechanism for political resistance. Finally, cap off your notes with Part 5, Conclusion. This is where you pull your thematic threads together. Your conclusion should summarize that African literature challenges colonial narratives, criticizes post-independence social problems, and asserts the dignity of the African people. Look at your page. You have just organized a complex historical subject into a tightly structured, exam-ready essay framework. Your next step is to put this into practice. Take 5 minutes right now to draft your introductory paragraph, using the Scramble for Africa as your opening hook. You now hold the exact intellectual blueprint required to articulate the global impact of African storytelling. Good luck with your writing.